Hi guys, so today I wanted to talk to you about a really big turning point for me in my breastfeeding journey. I am going to share my whole breastfeeding journey in another video, which I'll link when it's ready, but today I just really wanted to focus on one really big mindset that changed everything for me. So this is for the moms who want to exclusively breastfeed. Obviously, every baby is different, every mother is different, every situation is different. There are many ways to feed your baby, whether that is breastfeeding, formula feeding, pumping and then bottle feeding, donor milk feeding, combinations, whatever, right? So I acknowledge that, and I also want to just say that I exclusively wanted to breastfeed, and this isn't about judgment. This is honestly just that when I was going through what I was going through in establishing breastfeeding, I could not find a woman kind of just sitting in front of the camera, looking at me, you know, looking into the camera and feeling as if she's like sitting there across from me, and just hearing about her journey and her encouragement. So I'm really hoping that that's what this video can be for you. And so let's get into it. So in the early weeks, I kept hearing the phrase feed on demand. And it's pretty much what every professional was saying. And the thing is, they do say that babies don't always cry because they're hungry. They might want closeness or comfort, or just to be held. But just that messaging of just put them on the boob every time they cry, it was so strong that I ended up internalizing it, and I started to feel like every single fuss must mean that my baby wasn't getting enough milk, or that my supply was low, or that somehow I was just not doing the right thing, whatever the right thing was. And I think that pressure really did get to me. I was constantly anxious. My cortisol levels were really high up there. The stress levels were affecting my letdown reflex. Basically, the letdown is controlled by oxytocin. And when you're stressed, it can delay or even block that response. So when the baby gets more frustrated and then you get more stressed, and it's just like this whole cycle, and it can feel like a trap sometimes. And I know for me, it definitely did. And at the time, I was doing everything. I was pumping, I was topping up, I was, using donor milk in the beginning. And there were moments where I came super close to turning to formula. And I had, professionals bringing up brain development and just really leaning into that fear. And obviously, I don't think that they were trying to fearmonger, but that's just the impact that it had on me. It just made me afraid. It made me anxious. I'll talk more about that in like the full breastfeeding journey video, but just to give you context, I just really, really wanted to make breastfeeding work. And it felt like I was hitting hurdle after hurdle. And then this tiny but mighty shift happened. I came across this post. Hold on one second. Boopy. And then this tiny shift happened. So I came across this post, or maybe it was a comment on a thread, or I can't really remember where, but it basically said something along the lines of crying after a feed doesn't always mean that they're still hungry. I started to learn what the actual signs were of your baby not getting enough milk. It's not how much you pump. It's not whether they cry after a feed. It's not how long they feed for. It's basically things like 6 or more wet nappies in a 24-hour period, consistent weight gain, a baby who is content in their temperament, not necessarily smiley, because my baby's definitely not super smiley 24/7, but just settled. And when I really let that sink in, I just didn't have to obsess over how long he fed for, or how many mils I pumped, or how many mils I'm doing the top up. It just felt like such relief. And so I stopped pumping, I stopped doing top ups, my anxiety started to settle, the letdowns. Honestly, I didn't notice a huge dramatic change, but I could definitely tell that my body was a lot more relaxed. With my letdowns, it's interesting because even now that I have the mindset, because, the letdown is affected by the stress so sensitively. Yeah, even now, if I'm a little bit rigid or tense or stressed or whatever, my letdowns can take a little while. So anyways, I gave myself space to explore other reasons for my baby's fussiness, like maybe he was overtired, maybe he's overstimulated, maybe he is just wanting to move and change scenery, he's bored, you know what I mean? Or even maybe he's just processing something, he's going through a growth spurt. There was just so much more that I could attune to once I stopped assuming that every cry meant that he was hungry and that every cry meant that I wasn't able to feed him enough. And that's really the heart of this video. If you're someone who wants to breastfeed, who's chosen that path and is trying to make it work, but you're feeling overwhelmed or like something's wrong, I just want to say you're probably not doing it wrong. You're learning, your baby's learning, and just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's not working. Just because breastfeeding is hard and establishing breastfeeding is hard, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. That's the main piece. It doesn't mean that anything is necessarily wrong. I spent so much time, you know, trawling through Reddit threads and Facebook groups, articles, YouTube videos, you name it, just hoping to find like that one little golden nugget. Sometimes that nugget was just a mindset shift. It was just a different way of looking at what was happening, a different way of internalizing what was happening, a different perspective. But anyways, if this video helped you, I'm really glad that it did. And if you're still in the fog or still figuring it out, you know, you're not alone. I'm right here with you. And thanks for being here. I'll see you guys in the next video. You cutie.